Um, it was just a horrible show. It was. I can't.
You're good. You're good.
All right. No one watches this. America's Got Talent. What they do is that show's like it's not just comedians. It's like any talent.
Right.
And so they had jugglers, and so what they would do is they literally would like lock us in this room for like 18 hours a day. I mean, here's what I was told: we're flying you to Las Vegas to do on a TV show, and I was like, great, They lock me and all these entertainers in this room for like 18 hours a day, just so that they can roam around with cameras and get B-roll. B-roll is, for you who don't know, it's footage that you're just watching while you're hearing other sound. So they're just getting B-roll of just us like sitting in this room, like, and they'd come around with the camera and they'd be like, all right, look like you're studying your set. So I'd have to be like, oh, like what jokes am I gonna do, just so that they could use a clip of me being like, and but they could have gotten it in like 2 seconds, but they made us sit in this room for like 18 hours a day, and like it was just so horrible. And so what happened was, I basically I was the only person on the entire show. Like there were like 200 contestants, and I mean like there were like 200 like groups. So like most of the people were like in a group that was like 10 people who tap danced.
Oh,
so
yeah,
like
I gotcha.
There were even more than 200 people, Yeah. It's like, so, and so I was the only person who was just like a straight up like stand-up comedian. So a lot of stuff didn't really apply to me. Like they didn't really need me in that. They wanted that room shot because they wanted to see they wanted shots of like all the entertainers and all the crazy stuff going on. But like I wasn't even like in those shots because like why would you be like, oh, there's the stand-up comic when you're seeing like elephants and like people dance, guys that are like swallowing swords. So basically it was completely unnecessary. And so all right, so I was the only like stand-up comic, and they shot the show, and what happened was they do this thing where like you go on the show and like David Hasselhoff and Sharon Osbourne and Pierce. Yeah, whatever, the British. British. Basically, he's like a Simon Cowell line.
Right.
He's just like, you're not funny. But so, he, by the way, was the only one that was mean to me, and I could tell. And I was killing. Like every time I performed for the crowd, I would kill, and he would still say negative things. I could tell it was just because like they needed someone to say something negative so they could get a little soundbite of it. But what happened was you get like 2 X's, so I ended up making it really far on the show. Like I made it all the way to the finals of the show. And then, it tapes, in the TV world, things tape way before they actually tape like a good, 6 months before it actually aired. So I'm telling all these people like, oh, like get ready, like you gotta watch America's Got Talent. I make it really far on the show. And then like right before it's set to air, they call me and they're like, we've basically like cut you from the show. They just decided they were like, we decided to renew Last Comic Standing, and our producers decided that we don't really want it to appear as though we had stand-up comedians on the show. They still kept a couple of people who were like impressionists,
right?
Like kind of stand-up comic, but not really. And so even though I was like on the show and I made it really far and I did all these interviews and like it was like 18-hour days of like sitting in this room with like stupid friggin' people and B-roll footage. All for like no pay, by the way. Like most TV shows pay you, and this show like paid me nothing.
Did you even audition for that, or did they just
call
you?
Yeah. I auditioned and I got it. Actually, it's another weird sending a tape thing. Sending a tape never usually works, but I've had it work for me like 10 times. It's really weird. But they had this thing called like the MySpace audition. So you're supposed to like upload a video through MySpace and send it in that way, and that's how I got that show. But so they basically caught me when the show aired. So the show airs, right? And here's all that you see. It's like they go. Keep in mind that like I did actual shows where like crowds were like giving me standing ovations, and then you actually watch the TV show, and and somebody is like it's like the narrator. I think it was like Jerry Springer was the narrator.
Oh yeah.
And he's like like some of the people didn't even seem like they wanted to be there. and they show a clip of like Sharon Osbourne asking someone, "Why do you want to be here?" And it wasn't me, by the way, because she never asked me that. She goes, "Why do you want to be here?" And then they showed a clip of me going, like and that was a clip of me doing a joke where someone in my joke is going,
You're
It
kidding
wasn't,
me.
you know what I mean?
They
It had
edited that
nothing
bad?
to do with the question.
They edited it that much?
Yeah, and then it cuts to the next person.
I did not know that. That's crazy. I heard that it was like rigged by all the producers. Like they want a certain thing, but I didn't know it was that bad.
TV's so fake. Unless you go into it with like a manager, I think, unless there's so much. It's all just BS, you know. Like the producers tell you one thing, and then I've perpetually gotten screwed. Never be someone who stands in line for something. I learned that too. The first season of Last Comic Standing, I was on that, and that was just because I like waited in line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do that thing where you wait in line forever. And I realized that they never actually choose those people. They just try to make you look like a buffoon, basically. So I did my set, and it was good or whatever. And then they were like, this is the weirdest part of it. The guy goes, this is back when it was like Bob and Mark or something, were the two judges. And the one guy goes, he's like, hey, I'm sure you make all your friends laugh down at the frat house. And I'm like, first of all, okay, you're just trying to like make a soundbite insult, like like I was talking about the fake Simon Cowell. Second of all, that's not even the right like stereotype. Like you're trying to make this insult about like that's not my look. You know, at least be like, I'm sure you make all your friends laugh down at the LAN parties, like you know, which local area network. It's a computer game thing. So I'm a nerd, like a frat.
Right.
I'm not in a frat. So, anyways, yeah. So TV, it's all just they just want to get a sound clip of you looking like an idiot most of the time, and then I feel bad for a lot of people that look stupid on TV didn't actually do something stupid. They were just you can make anyone look stupid with the right editing, you know.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad, but I didn't realize it was that bad. You said that you did a thing for TRL for Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I watched that clip on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, did you go into that as like the comedian, or was that like an honest competition where you just were picked as the winner? Like,
it was mostly an honest competition. When I went into it, they knew I was a comedian, but I didn't like lie. I've definitely auditioned for TV shows before where I told them I wasn't a comedian because if they're not looking for a comedian, it's like the worst thing to tell them that you like. You know, like I've auditioned for like actually like it's funny. I made it like all the way to the end of Beauty and the Geek, like as in not on the show, like auditions.
Right.
Like, I made final callbacks and stuff, and it's because I said it wasn't. Because the first year I auditioned for Beauty and the Geek, and they were like, "Oh, you're a comedian." Like I didn't lie. I told them I was a comedian, and they're like, "Oh, you're a comedian. Like you're probably too confident to be on this show." And then I auditioned a few years later, and I was like, I just lied, and I was like, I'm an engineer, and I made all the way to and I think they like Googled me. I think they Googled me and found out I wasn't what I said I was. But the point is. They're never really looking for. But in this specific audition, I knew one of the people casting's friend. I knew a friend of someone casting it who was like, "Oh, I know this comedian who would be good for this." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm a comedian." And they were like, "Well, we just, MTV was like, well, we just won't say that or whatever, TRL, you know." So it was an earnest competition in that I really did like talk about a heartbreak and get, win this competition. I just never mentioned what I did for a living, But I think, that was another similar situation where, due to editing, I kind of looked a lot dumber than because. Well, here's another showbiz story. So TRL. Do you have enough time for these stories? Or
yeah. Go on.
So I went. What they told me was, you've won this trip to get a makeover from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You're going to Hawaii, you're going to get massages, you're going to, And what it realistically was like them getting like shots of me doing these things, but not me. Like, they would like set up a shot of Bill Hader giving me a massage or something, or not him giving, like the woman giving me a massage while I'm lying next to Bill Hader. And then they're like, all right, next shot, you know, but, you know, they were only shooting, the whole thing's only like 7 minutes long or something. You wouldn't believe, I was there for one weekend, and both days I was there, again, it was like, it was at least like 12, 14-hour days. Like just going around and shooting stuff. Obviously 9% of it they didn't even use.
Right.
Like it was just, I knew when they were shooting half this, I'm like, you're not going to use this. Like, can I just go